evening, it's 8 o'clock. I'm Sally Burdett. Your top stories tonight. We are live in Limpopo, the ANC in the region scrambling after being named in the VBS report.
We're not a burial society. We don't have family membership schemes here.
The EFF dismisses suggestions that they benefited from VBS Bank looting. They say Floyd Shivambu is not his brother's keeper. And government admits after 10 years and 10 billion rand, it's no longer involving itself in the procurement of set-top boxes for digital migration. Now go to Limpopo as the fallout over the startling report into the looting that occurred at the VBS Mutual Bank. Those named in the report are yet to account. Now tonight the ANC in Limpopo has postponed a meeting that was meant to deal with the damning report. Officials now say they'll hold that meeting on Sunday, as many weren't available to meet at short notice due to other engagements. A number of top ANC officials in the province have been implicated, including its provincial treasurer, Daniel Caesar. Our reporter Samkela Maseko is following that story from Polokwane tonight, and he joins us now. Good evening to you, Samkela. What have you been able to find out about the reasons behind this announcement of a meeting and then a cancellation of a meeting?
Well, Sally, it seems as if South Africa is a thriller movie indeed, from the president's keepers to Floyd Shivambu's brothers' keepers or non-brothers' keepers, and now to the fallout in the ANC after this damning looting report by the South African Reserve Bank and Advocate Matlow on the heist of 2.2 billion rands of monies of the poor and of municipalities that are siphoned and stolen off VBS. What we do know is that the ANC postponed its meeting, which was supposed to take place this afternoon here at the Franz Muhlala, the provincial office of the ANC. It's been postponed to Sunday after the Premier of the province and the ANC provincial chairperson, Stanley Chupuma Tabata, was out of the province on official government duties. And the ANC's provincial secretary, Soviet Lekhanyana, is out at Univen for the SRC elections. And the two men and women of the hour, which is Florence Radzelani, the deputy chair of the ANC in the Vembe district municipality, mayor who's been implicated in the Christmas gift of 300,000 rands, which she says is little, and the negotiator, Daniel Caesar, have been implicated here, are not also available.
All right, so they've pretty much gone to ground. Have you had a chance to speak to people in the area? And what are ordinary people saying to you?
We spoke to Putisilabo, the ANC, the official government spokesperson in the province, who says that if needs be, all those who are found guilty will face the full might of the law, and the provincial government will make sure that the National Prosecuting Authority takes all the cases on and prosecutes them and puts them on orange overalls. The people who've spoken to are saying that they are pretty disturbed of how this grand looting has taken place. Basically, ANC leaders are stealing from the very same poor people that they are saying they are leading.
Thank you very much. Our reporter in Polokwane, Samkela Maseko. Well, let's stay in Limpopo and we'll cross to Zikona Chona. She is in Sibasa. Zikona has been following the heartbreak of the many people who've put their trust in the bank. Good evening to you, Zikona. I know you have just arrived in the area. You've been on this story for months. You brought us those images of those poor people sleeping overnight in queues, desperate to get their money. What is the mood there tonight?
So we are outside the VBS branch in Sibasa. This is the very branch that when we visited in July, as you've mentioned, Sally, we found people sleeping outside the bank, desperate to access their money and anxious at the fact that the bank was not communicating with them as to what exactly was going on. Now, the news of the report has reached the ground here, and people have also noted the fact that the Bavenda King, Tony Mpepu Ramabulana's name, is among those listed and those people that have brought this bank to its knees, that have basically halted this bank. And people are actually very angry. A lot of people that I've been speaking to on the way here, as well as when we arrived, are saying that they cannot believe that the one person who was meant to protect them is now implicated in chowing their money. That's what one person said to us, that the king has basically chowed our money. So people are angry, and lots of them have taken to social media. If you go to Facebook, you'll see especially young people saying they cannot believe the fact that the king is implicated in this saga.
We also know that municipalities banked with VBS Mutual Bank, which is against the rules. So it's not just people's individual funds, it's also some of the municipalities in the area you are. And that must be a very bitter pill to swallow for people who are seeing a lack of service delivery.
Certainly, and particularly the Vembe district, which is the mayor of this town, is actually implicated in that VBS report, and people are saying that they don't see services in this area, and really they want answers. They want their leaders to account as to how this was allowed to happen. This is a bank that is the pride of this community. This is a bank that people have been banking with for years. Societies, it's entrusted and in building a culture of allowing people to build homes. So people would come here to save their money over years to enable themselves to build their own homes so that they would not rely on government. But now the very people that they were trying to relieve in terms of service delivery are the very ones that have let them down. People around me are saying that they are angry and they want answers. We don't know what action will take place as the week continues. I am meeting tomorrow with minority shareholders of VBS Bank, and they are basically the ones that are saying they will decide on the way forward for the community. They will meet with community members, particularly the elderly who had entrusted this bank for years, Sally. Absolutely. As you can imagine, those visuals that came here, a lot of them were old people that were banking with this bank. So we'll hear further as to how people will what steps people will take going forward, particularly with regards to the king. A lot of people have, as I've mentioned, expressed anger towards the king in this area.
Zikona Jona coming to us live from Sibasa near Toyanda tonight. Thank you so much for bringing us that information. Answers are required. Well, the forensic report shows that Brian Shivambu, brother to the EFF's Deputy President Floyd Shivambu, received a sum of 16 million rand from the bank. Now, he has denied that, and he says he'll sue for defamation. But the story took a new turn this morning when the Daily Maverick's investigative unit, Scorpio, ran a story saying it had traced that money and where it went. They say 10 million rand made its way into the EFF's coffers through its Deputy President. Now, of course, the EFF, they are denying ever receiving money from the collapsed VBS Bank. My colleague Dimakatso Tugwane spoke to the party's chairperson, Limpopo, earlier today.
We're not answerable for brothers and sisters. So we are, we're not a burial society. We don't have family membership schemes here.
So this is not only about his brother. There's reports this morning from the Daily Maverick suggesting that Floyd Shivambu himself, the Deputy President, received money from his brother from those proceeds from VBS.
So I must respond to the Daily Maverick now. No, we don't respond to the Daily Maverick.
Can you categorically say that the EFF did not receive money from VBS at all?
Yes, I can say that because I have no information to the contrary. We can't just jump up and down, with due respect, without knowing what the facts are. And this investigation, as far as I know, was not a police investigation, was not an investigation into fraud. It was an investigation into banking irregularities.
The question is, are you going to cooperate with authorities on this matter? Or yes or no? It's a
Me?
simple question.
No, I'm not going to
you
cooperate.
You are speaking on behalf of the EFF. I'm not speaking in your personal capacity.
What has the EFF done? How should the EFF cooperate?
Well, there are other reports suggesting that the EFF received 1.3 million.
Well, then anybody, even forget about the Hawks, even you, if you come to the EFF and say there's this receipt that you received money, we will cooperate with you.
The DA insists that those implicated should be criminally investigated, and to that end the party's laid charges of fraud, corruption and racketeering against some 50 people in Cape Town. Leanne Jansen has the story.
The DA has laid criminal charges against the so-called VBS 50, implicated in this 139-page document dubbed the Great Bank Heist. Among them, Brian Shivambu, the brother of EFF Deputy President Floyd Shivambu.
Both the ANC and the EFF basically need to confirm the simple question of to whether or not they have received monies or benefit in one way or the other financially from monies from VBS. We are of the view that Honorable Shivambu should actually hand himself over to the police and submit an affidavit about whether he has directed any personal or financial benefit from VBS monies.
It seems the tables have now turned on the EFF, with some quarters calling for it to pay back the money.
Well, the Hawks say they are in the middle of their own investigation into VBS Bank. Here's Hawks spokesperson Hangani Malawudzi.
We have our own investigations that we are busy with. The country can take into confidence of the fact that the team that has been formulated, they are trying to make sure that this matter is dealt with as soon as possible. The team, not the team as such, we are dealing with people here that were defrauded. We have got people who have lost a lot of money. So it is incumbent upon the law enforcement agency to make sure that this matter is dealt with as speedily as possible. But at the same time, we need to make sure that we're fair in terms of the investigation, but also making sure that all the aspects that affect this case are covered.
Still ahead on eNews, residents of Florida in the US are picking up the pieces following a devastating tropical storm. And Money News with Mateo.
Well, local markets weaker today as investors move away from emerging markets, but it was a good day for gold trade.
Money and market time now with Moteo Kharipe. Moteo, we cannot avoid talking about VBS. It's touched so many aspects of society. KPMG in the firing line as well. Have they said anything today?
They've released a pretty statement, if you like, saying they'll cooperate with authorities with regards to the VBS mutual looting that has happened. But it's a name that's coming up ever too often when it comes to corruption. They keep saying that they're going to get it right, but it seems like there is a systematic breakdown within the company structure. Sipho Malaba, one of their senior partners, was involved with this particular account, that being VBS Mutual, and he pocketed, according to the reports, around 33 million rand from it. And it's a thing that we're starting to see now happen with auditing firms, that we can't really trust the opinions that they have of companies, as we've seen happen with Steinhoff as well. Deloitte signing of 2014, 2015, 2016 financial results, of which other investors used those to invest in the company and later lost money. So auditors in their well rights and the way that they are working in terms of companies have come under the spotlight. And this time around it's also happened. Of course, the Auditor General also firing KPMG earlier this year. But this particular analyst believes they should be going behind bars.
There must be criminal charges against them because they've not conducted them in a way one would expect from an auditor. If KPMG does not charge them, I would expect the audit profession to charge them. And I would really want to see these partners in jail sharing a cell with Mr. Marcus US staff Steinhoff, who should also not be on the street.
Strong words, important words. Run us through the markets quickly.
Well, the markets were a bit weaker today, with the JSE following international markets as well. Emerging market economies are not the best one to invest in today. The all share down, as well as financials down, even though the rand was stronger. The only one up for mining shares was gold, and that's because when international markets see any weakness in the market, they go to gold to invest in, and resources down more than 1%. Commodity prices, gold at $1,221 an ounce, while Brent crude was down today at $80.74. The rand picking up today at 14 Rand 58 against the dollar. It's also strong against the euro, 16 Rand 92, and at 19 Rand 29 cents against the pound.
Thank you very much for that, Mateo. 10 years and more than 10 billion rand later, government has announced it will no longer be involved in the procurement and installation of set-top boxes. Communications Minister Nomvula Mokonyane was speaking after a cabinet meeting earlier today. Now, the boxes were to be given to people who had old TV sets not compliant with the switchover from analog to digital. Of course, that's not happened. The boxes are sitting in a warehouse. It's not clear what the 10 billion rand was spent on. Annika Larson reports.
It's been more than 10 years since Cabinet officially announced its decision to migrate its broadcasting policy from analog to digital. But 3 weeks ago, it said it was very happy with the progress it had made. Now, government saying it's entirely abandoning the procurement and installation of the set-top boxes. Now, those set-top boxes were mainly for people in rural areas who had old television sets and needed those boxes in order to make a switchover. Communications Minister Nomvula Mokonyane says there are thousands of set-top boxes lying in warehouses across the country and admits government's already spent 10 billion rand on the project. But in hindsight, she says it should have consulted more closely with the private sector and kept up with technological advances. When asked about the two big elephants in the room, the VBS fraud scandal and the fate of at least two ministers who have been found to have perjured themselves or lied under oath, Mokonyane said Cabinet did not discuss either matter. Annika Larson, Parliament.
Quick look at international news. In the USA, anxious residents are tracking Tropical Storm Michael. At least 2 people have died in storm-related incidents after it made landfall in Florida yesterday. Rescue workers sifting through the debris fear that number will rise. Michael was one of the strongest storms ever to hit Florida. It's caused extensive damage and left hundreds of thousands of people without power. The storm is now heading to the Carolinas, still recovering from Hurricane Florence less than a month ago. Well, after the break, we're going to go down to Louis at our weather centre. Hi there, Louis. And then, it might not be the perfect job for everyone, but if you like felines, it's the cat's whiskers. Let's look ahead to your weekend weather now with Louis Fernandez. Good evening, Louis. Are you going to make it rain?
Good evening, Sally. Well, if you want rain, you're in luck because we are going to see quite a big change taking place in the next couple of days. Thanks to a cold front that's currently making landfall over the Western Cape. It's fairly benign at the moment, but over the next 24 hours, it does start to gain intensity. And for this reason, we're going to see the likelihood of rain increasing in the south overnight and into tomorrow. A cold and wet day lies ahead for the Eastern Cape, and those conditions spread into KwaZulu-Natal as the day goes on. And at the same time, it becomes stormy over the eastern interior of the country on your Friday afternoon and evening. We could even see a few thunder showers into Gauteng. But in the Northern Cape, it will be mostly dry. There's only a small chance for thunder showers from Prieska through to De Aard as well as Colesberg. In the Western Cape, it's going to be a dry day along the Atlantic seaboard, but very windy around the peninsula. Rain along the south coast, on the other hand, and the adjacent interior, and pushing as far inland as Beaufort West. Cold, cloudy and wet weather expected for almost all of the Eastern Cape, a high of only 13 degrees in Komani as well as Kowa. And in KwaZulu-Natal, as we've seen, it becomes progressively wetter as the day goes on, and there is a 60% chance of thunder showers for the interior. Some of those thunderstorms could even become quite strong. Thunderstorms will also develop on the Mpumalanga Highveld in the afternoon as well as into the evening. And in Limpopo, most areas will be very hot and dry, but there could be a few thunder showers for Polokwane, Tsanin and Mokopane. In the northwest, it will be partly cloudy and very hot once again. For the meantime, there's no rain in the forecast. And in the Free State, it also stays hot and dry for Welkom and Bloemfontein, but thunder showers in the south as well as the eastern parts of this province. And finally, into Gauteng, it stays hot for now over the area, but thunder showers will be developing in the afternoon for some parts, although for the meantime, staying isolated. That doesn't last as we head into the Free State, as widespread showers and thunderstorms will be developing over that area during the afternoon and evening hours on Saturday. Thunder showers likely for the western interior of the country as well. And then on Sunday, more wet weather for most parts of the country, but a dry day for Polokwane in the northeast, as well as for some areas closer to the western coastline. That's all from the Weather Centre. Sally, it's back to you.
I'm very happy. Thanks very much, Louis Fernandez. And finally, the Russian town of Zelenogradsk has made an unusual appointment. It's hired a cat chief to attend to strays. Svetlana Logunova was appointed guardian of the felines of the small town with a budget of about 1,200 rand a month. The cat chief is responsible for making sure the town's 70 strays are well fed and even stroked enough to keep them feline good. Before we go, let's recap your top story of the evening. The ANC in Limpopo scrambling after being named in the VBS report. From me and the team, it's a very good night.